Good morning. Welcome to today's COVID devotional. We're going to be back where we left off with the story of Nehemiah in chapter 4, starting in verse 7. Now, yesterday we experienced a little bit of opposition from some naysayers who were mocking the Jews and Nehemiah and the effort to rebuild the wall. So today we're going to see that opposition take a step up, and we're going to see how you can address that opposition and how you can remove obstacles. So, starting in verse 7, it says, "But when Sanballat and Tobiah and the Arabs and the Ammonites and the Ashdodites heard that the repairing of the walls of Jerusalem was going forward, and that the breaches were beginning to be closed, they were very angry. And they all plotted together to come and fight against Jerusalem, and to cause confusion in it. And we prayed to our God and set guard as protection against them day and night." So the first thing we see here is that work was actually being done, and we're starting to physically see the results of the wall being built. Whereas before, everything was this hypothetical, theoretical, we're going to build the wall. And so the opposition was just jeers and mocking and words. Here we see the physical wall start to be built. There's evidence of their work. And so now we see a physical threat in response. The naysayers are stepping up their game in their opposition. So again, in verse 10, it says, "In Judah it was said, the strength of those who bear the burdens is failing. There's too much rubble. By ourselves we will not be able to rebuild the wall. And our enemies said, they will not know or see till we come among them and kill them and stop the work. At that time, the Jews who lived near them came from all directions and said to us 10 times, 'You must return to us.' So in the lowest parts of the space behind the wall, in open places, I stationed the people by their clans and their swords, their spears and their bows. I looked and arose and said to the nobles and to the officials and to the rest of the people, 'Do not be afraid of them. Remember the Lord who is great and awesome, and fight for your brothers, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your homes.'" So we see this physical threat come. And how does Nehemiah respond? Again, his first response, prayer. It says up here in verse 8, they plotted together to come against them. And then in verse 9, and we prayed to our God, part B, and set a guard to protect against them. So there's a real imminent physical threat. Nehemiah's response is yes, A, pray, but B, to take practical measures in their defense. So prayer does not eliminate the need to take practical measures. Let me say that again. Prayer does not eliminate the need to take practical measures. Yes, we need to pray like everything relies on God, but at the same time, He gave us a brain, He gave us the ability to reason, and we need to take responsibility, take stewardship of the things that He's given us. We need to take the time to make the plan and take practical measures to accomplish His goals, and then pray for His leading, His guidance, His blessing on the things that we're doing. Next, we see that external resistance often produces internal discouragement. I'm going to say that again. External resistance often produces internal discouragement. We see a lot of external resistance here in this section, and maybe we're feeling that external resistance in our own lives now. Guys, I guarantee you that your pastors are feeling external resistance, and it's causing internal discouragement. Let me encourage you to be an external encouragement to your pastors. But go beyond that. Be an external encouragement to your neighbors. Everyone is feeling internal discouragement right now. Sometimes people just need to be reached out to and say, "Hey, you're doing a good job. You're doing the best you can. How can I help?" Your pastors need to hear that. Your neighbors need to hear that. Just the people who take care of your kids in Sunday school need to hear that. Finally, what did they do? unforeseen circumstances. They faced opposition. They reorganized, came up with a new plan. And then in verse 15 it says, when our enemies heard that it was known to us and that God had frustrated their plans, we all returned to the wall, each to his work. It's a theme in Nehemiah. They keep returning to the wall. They are returning to their work, the work that the Lord has called them to do. Pray. Take practical measures. Reorganize. Return to the work. The Lord be with you today.